3 things managers must do for training's sake. The manager's part in getting the most out of training their employees. It's time to be an authentic leader. The cost of providing training to your employees can be very costly. And I'm not just talking about bringing in the trainer to deliver the training. It's also the amount of time that your employee is away from work producing results for you. It's simply imperative that you get the very most out of any training that you send your employees to. If you're spending all this money, it might be worth planning just a little bit ahead of time. Back in the day, I was the manager of training and development for a fairly large department. We had about 400 people in that department. And we recognized the tremendous expense of training, not this specific training itself, but of the salaries that are in the room during the training. We simply had to ensure that it was worth the investment and the time and the energy and the cost in salaries and in the trainer for any training that we brought in. We were very purposeful in every part of the training, and specifically parts of training that most managers don't think about. Let me give you 3 simple things as a manager you should be thinking of when you send your employees to training. Before you send any employee to training, you should be having a conversation with that employee, being very clear about why they are going to this training. You should be having an open dialogue discussing what expectations are during the training, what they should be bringing out of the training, what they should be bringing back, and more specifically, what they should now be able to do after they attend the training. This provides tremendous clarity for the employee while they're at the training so they can be thinking about those things while they're there. The second part of this is really during the training. I've seen this happen countless times where an employee will be called out because of some sort of emergency back at the office, or something is happening where they'll need to be pulled out for whatever reason. You should think ahead of time during the training while the employee is at the training. What are you going to do when emergencies arise? When something comes up where you feel like you have to go get the employee, who can be their backup? What are some other alternatives? Is it possible that it actually might be able to wait until after the training? You should really avoid at all costs pulling them out of the training. It's really hard to regain the momentum that's been built in the training after they've been pulled out and then maybe pulled back in. And sometimes they're never put back in. They just have to end up going back to work. Now, all of that is for waste. The third one, which is many times forgotten or not even considered or thought about, is after the training. You have an extremely important role as the manager to meet with the employee to talk about the training they just experienced. It should be very soon after the training. You should have a discussion with your employee to talk about what did they pull out of the training. What are some things that were good about the training? Maybe some things that weren't so good. What are some actions they are going to commit to actually do now as a result of attending that training? Many times training itself is not enough. Most of the time it is not. What really helps to solidify the information of the training is to give your employee opportunities to practice and experience the concepts that were provided in the training. So it's important that you are talking with them about how you were going to give them some opportunities to experience the concepts that were learned in the training and to really implement some of those new ideas. I'd love to hear your comments about how maybe you have also gotten the most out of training. What are some techniques or strategies that maybe you have used? This will be information that others reading this and reading your comments might be able to benefit from, that we would go over and above maybe some of the information we've talked about here, because training is such an investment. What do you think of today's video? Give us some feedback about what you think about today's video.